We are into it. First of all, we are going to end all sanctuary cities.
Governor Cox also cites a memo that Bernanke's office issued a memo calling Utah a sanctuary state.
If there are any among this people who should ever apostatize, prepare your backs for a good whipping.
We will seek you, find you.
God will not be mocked.
We should also be cautious about the motivation of the one who provides information. That's why the scriptures warn us against priestcraft.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. This is a Child Faith comment reply video for the Child Faith comment reply video that I just did the other day. Rather than doing videos that will save your lives, comment replies get priority. No guilt trips whatsoever. Alrighty, what you got for me? Finally got some time to come and watch some vids. You show up the other day, I'm back, and you're still bailing on me? Alright, so I knew you would get to me. Wow, he's a prophet. When I said, what about the other 7 billion? Yep. See, that's why the Book of Mormon talks about all of those numbers of dead in the war. That's everybody in the world. That's where it talks about them. He understands now. So there should be some prophecy for the Chinese and the Indians in Brazil, etc. Yeah. And so if you go back to the ancient Egyptians, which, again, another bombshell video, nobody else in the world knows the information. I am the source authority for it. Egyptians were the first civilized culture in the world. And from there, mankind migrated out to all the world. And they changed their culture, changed their religion, changed the government, changed the economies, changed the languages, everything of anthropology. It was last month, wasn't it? When some dumbass thought he would challenge me on Alyssa's channel. oh dear God, and claim that there's no such thing as anthropology of the ancient Middle East. Loser! Move along! Hilarious. And so, yeah, the ancient Chinese stories, likewise, are descended from those Egyptian prophecies. Chinese language is descended directly from Egyptian. They just use more linear block script rather than the hieratic linear wavy curve script. And so the sun for Egyptian, for example, is a circle with a dot in the middle of it. In Chinese, it's the square with a little slash dot in the center of it. It's the exact same symbol. Chinese got it from the Egyptians and did their version of it according to the change in their culture. And it has to do with the line above being in heaven, line below being earth, thus the sun is in between the two. To briefly touch on that. But again, these are pictures, and therefore one picture of the ancients is worth 1,000 translations. Can't just fix one translation. That's our devolved language that we have strayed from because of Constantine's creation of Homoousion Jesus, sending us into the Dark Ages. And so, yeah, even the Indians in Brazil, the Aztecs, the Peruvians, the Mayans, all of them, all around the world, they all can be traced back to the Egyptians. You don't want to say that they came first and then the Egyptians stole it from them. You don't want to claim that Brazil's older than Egypt, as there are those who try to claim that for Samaria as well as for the ancient Mesopotamians. And so when you understand where they're coming from, that they're Christian, who've infiltrated science to claim that the Bible is true, that Noah landed on Mount Ararat, and therefore Sumer, being closest to Mount Ararat, has to be the oldest culture, because Constantine's first creed of Christianity is true. And so, yeah, you'll get Assyriologists who wrongly claim that they're the oldest culture, and that their documents precede the Egyptians. Wrong. Loser! Move along! You have to use science to establish facts, and you can't disregard the facts, so that you can claim your preconceived biases of falsehoods. Let's see. But that we don't care about. What? What do you mean we don't care about? Of course we care about. They all have valuable stuff in them, because we have the ones about the Jewish Christ happening to the Mormons now. No, it's all the same. Whether it's Assyria, China, the Indians in Brazil, the Babylonians, the Hittites, anybody, it's all about Mormons. That's one of the prerequisite videos that I've got lined up for you guys, is how all of the signs in the heavens that come from the Egyptians, that come from the Chinese and Assyrians and Mesopotamians and Indians and all that. All of it is all about Mormons. Their Christ is the Mormon Christ, who's the Jewish Christ. All the same. And so Dorothy Murdoch is correct with the Zeitgeist movie. It's correct. Hugh Grant, he's correct. But they concluded incorrectly. They didn't include all the facts. They left facts out, and thus the wrong conclusion. And so, no, they all are related, but don't give legitimacy to Jesus. Don't give legitimacy to Brigham Young. Don't do it. Don't you do it. It's all about the Mormons. And if the world knew that, they would be pissed and murder the Mormons instantly. You are lucky. You need to thank your YouTube Mormon employee who was ordered by the Strengthening Church Members Committee, ordered by the Living Prophets of Jesus, to silence and cyber terrorize me all these years. It saved your life. No, I just prolonged when the actual attack will happen anyway. It's gonna happen one way or the other. One way or another, they're gonna get ya. They're gonna get ya. One way, maybe next year, maybe next month, maybe next day. Classic Blondie, the original lyrics. The rare edition, never published. No, it's not. No. Wild Faith. The rest is not worth mentioning in this story. No, if it doesn't cover it, it doesn't cover it. And that's watching Castle. He likewise tells that when you're telling a story, you don't want to put in information that doesn't relate to the story. You only put in information that relates to the story. And so obviously, if you're doing a book, you don't put every single detail, like, you know, the tape flaps on the boxes are sticking out, if what's in the boxes doesn't matter. You don't want to cover it in your book. It's a diversion away from the story. And especially if you're doing whodunit mystery novels, you want to avoid that because it's going to piss people off when they find out at the end that they got led astray with the extra material that should have been edited from the book. Just that's why movies that get put in the theaters are edited, but when they go to DVDs, they too are edited even further. And so it's just the way things are. They find stuff that may or may not relate to the actual theme of the show. And that's up to the person who's in charge of editing. And sometimes they do good edits. Sometimes we wish that they would have put the deleted scenes in the DVD with them and had the option to have it played with the movie rather than having to watch them separately. There's a number of movies that I wish they wouldn't have had extra deleted scenes, but gave the option of having the full uncut movie. Anyway. How many people went to the Green River that day you said? Only one. I didn't say to go. I said if, when. Don't go on your own prematurely. Don't go in advance. Even the prophets of Jesus, back in the pre-latter days, when it didn't matter, because it's not the latter days yet, we're telling Mormons, who, like my aunt and uncle on my mom's side, are already living in Missouri. They're waiting for the latter days as they are living in Missouri. And so when we had reunion gatherings, I'd hear them joke about that. We're all ready to go. We're in Missouri already. I may be just a kid, but I heard that Missouri is going to be destroyed first. And I've done that. Heber C. Kimball, John Taylor, Brigham Young have all talked about that as they knew about July 1840, but still didn't publish it. And so yes, Missouri is supposed to be wiped clean of inhabitants, according to the church's threats. And so no, that's why I'm trying to tell you, even though it may be confusing sometimes, because my associative memory will tell me or tell you guys Civil War instead of Revolutionary War, Brigham Young instead of Heber C. Kimball, those dates that are incorrect, that kind of thing. It happens, and all too often. If there's a major blue boo-boo that I don't fix in the video, you'll often see me comment of the correction that's needed. So that's another reason why I have to watch my own videos, is not just to try to trigger the algorithms to get other people to see my videos. So much abuse from YouTube, dear God. But no, that was just inspiration I got, providing a plan in case something happened, and something was supposed to happen. As I've told you guys, most recently, since last year, of learning about it, Nelson failed. I was right. And so if you've been here for a couple of years, you'll notice that after April 2024, I started putting on my pictures, Nelson failed. Talking about Nelson failed. It's not my fault. And so sure enough, he failed. And as I've now realized, 3 Nephi 7 is where I was getting that information from, and then realized that it's not just 3 Nephi 7, but it's also the religious calendar that needs to be applied in 3 Nephi 7 and 8. They botched it royally. The only thing they got right was that they had Trump lose in 2020 to cause January 6th, as Oaks got leaked. And I didn't find out about that until last year also. And so, yeah, I did my part in 2020. I showed who I am, if Mormons merely but looked for me. But they're looking beyond the mark to Jesus. Just like those Jews, they were looking for Jesus to come. That's what the Christians say. Oh my God. And so, this also brings up, since this is the reboot to try to fix their boo-boos, this now lends to this year, doing it again, Man Like Moses 2.0. He did his job before, and because of Nelson's failure, he gets to do it again. I am still wondering if this is still going to be the case. Because in the United States, they have the freeway systems all set up. And sure enough, the 70 is straight down the heartland of America and takes us all the way to the real location for Zion. But because Nelson failed, all of the prophecies are thrown out the window now. For him and his plot. 200-year-old plot. And so now I have to figure out, is this going to be the case as it was in 2020? Because Trump, he's doing his thing, but he's been told to pace himself now. He was all set to go boom on day one, and instead he's now pacing himself. And because he's pacing himself, he's now being subjected to more attacks by the deep state Dems for judges to stop him, for others to complain, for others to prevent him. And so he knows that he needed to do it all at once. But somebody told him, slow it down, pace yourself. And so these other things are stepping in to cause contentions and problems for his final solution. But he still does the same exact pattern in his art of the deal. And I just shake my head and go, why do you deep state Dem press not get Trump? Why didn't you do your research? Why didn't you remember the news coverage that you used to do back in his first term? Why have you forgotten? What the hell? And so yeah, that's some videos that I also need to get to. And so it looks like we've got February, at least, because again, one of the hesitations is Cox tampering and lying to protect the illegal criminal terrorists, gangsters in Utah from getting deported. And has ordered ICE in Utah to only go after one person per week. You can go after one person per week. And we got to have our news following you to criticize you. It's just, oh dear God. Does Cox know how much he's being used by the church? And so pay attention, because if it were done my way, it would have been perfect. But it's not going to be done my way. It's pissing me off. Why can't the enemy do it my way? And so, yeah, that's why I'm deeply concerned. Not just because nobody's going to know of me if the fall happens without a transfer to me. But both the enemy's religion and government's steps are happening. Fall, transfer, Exodus, New World Order, Zion. And so that's the way it should be, is the fall of evil. transfer of evil's control to me. An exodus to Zion, building Zion for people to be safe from the wars that are about to happen. And so the fall of the church, yeah, I now see what they're doing under Trump. That AI put them in as Oaks got leaked, and Oaks was the mastermind behind Project 2025. It's got all of the church's agenda in it, as I did the videos. And so Trump, instead of doing it immediately, is pacing himself out. And so again, the church is pacing itself out. And so the fall hasn't happened yet, but I see how it's working to cause the fall of the church. They want to destroy the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith. They want Mormons to lose their faith bubbles. And that's why they don't get it. They think I'm trying to destroy their faith bubbles. When it's the church who purposely lies and deceives Mormons for Mormons to enhance their faith bubbles in the lie, which then the church will pull the rug right out from under them, and ta-da, you're what's for dinner. To serve man, to serve Mormons. Anybody remember The Twilight Zone? That was a classic. I still remember it as a kid, and I saw it. I have it. Awesome, essential. And so yeah, dear God. And so I don't know how it's going to work, because it's not going to be done right. And so there may be fewer than few that I know are going to make it. Only those who follow my channel and hear about it will know of the Green River. Everybody else who doesn't believe me that I'm trying to destroy their faith bubbles with truth, which thumbnail on the are going to stay away from me. They're not going to believe me. They don't believe that I'm a translator, because it means that their faith bubbles have been wrong and deceived them. Mormons would rather lose their honor and integrity than admit they were wrong and accept the truth. It's that simple. And it's sad that Mormons would do that. Remain with their abusers rather than humble themselves and be saved. And so yeah, I'm concerned, because the Bible, or Book of Mormon, and Joseph Smith warns us that because of man's agency, a likely consequence for rejecting me will be utter destruction. And so I used to put in the chart of the 4 events left. The fall, transfer, exodus, building of Zion. And Trump is well on his way. The exodus has begun for Trump with the enemy's interpretation for government. The fall of the deep state happened. The transfer from the deep state Lucifer to the MAGA Jesus has happened. And now the exodus of get the hell out, deportation, is well underway. Denver, Colorado was yesterday. And so I see how he's preparing for his MAGA New World Order, well underway, according to their plot, according to their interpretation of scripture prophecy. And so Trump wanting to occupy Gaza, yeah, that's all part of the evangelical plot to adhere to the Bible self-fulfilling prophecies that they're making. And so likewise with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the fall is to transition away from Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon, as Brigham Young did, and then transfer to Nelson was teasing you guys by saying he's going to transfer it to Trump. Trump is Jesus, in case you hadn't caught on. And so maybe transferring to Oaks, the next in line, since Nelson was the latter-day false prophet. But then the Exodus is right there in section 119. Anybody who is not Mormon and a full tithe payer, you're out. Get the hell out of Zion. That's the Exodus for this church. Whereas for Brigham Young, it was him fleeing the country, which gave him the title, the Mormon Moses, because of that. And so this time, they're not leaving. They want Zion here. And so the Exodus is the anti-Mormon, anti-Christ, apostate, Korah whores who aren't paying tithing. And thus in their minds, by kicking you out of Utah, you go back into the rest of the United States that's going to be burned as an oven. And thus the church can claim, see how being a full tithe payer saved your lives? Now you owe us for the rest of yours. And bondage ensues for all eternity. And then thus they build their Zion. But they're not the true Christ. I am. My way was perfect. But mine is subject to agency. And so if you guys choose with your agency not to listen to me to save your lives, then we all die. Good job. And so that's what I'm wondering with the Green River, because we're heading into a drought season again. We're just not getting enough snowpack on the mountains. And so already the news is concerned. You know, we're heading for some rain later today, but it's not going to be enough for the mountain snowpack. Not enough. So yeah, this is also a tricky situation, because Trump with his Exodus, similar to Nelson with his Exodus, but Trump is not allowing sanctuary cities. That's what Zion is described as, a city of refuge, sanctuary, from the wars of the United States and the rest of the world that are coming. And so this is a very precarious position that everybody's in, and nobody seems to get it. You know, evangelicals are frothing at the mouth about how excited and orgasmic they feel about the coming of Jesus, restoring their Christianity to all the world, taking away agency. And yet, they don't understand consequences. You know, and it's all fun and games getting a woman pregnant, But once the woman's having the baby, it ain't no picnic at that point. It ain't paradise. So yeah, tough times coming. There's going to be many people that will not pass. Too many deaths are heading our way, and nothing I can do to stop it. Because agency must be allowed. But with agency comes consequences. Nobody wants to acknowledge consequences. They all want to do what they want to do, claim that's their agency, and they don't want to have to experience the consequences of their actions. But they will, and then they're not going to like it, and they're going to complain and murmur. So I wish I knew too. See, he says, I was in Brazil's Amazon anyway at that time. Now the Amazon has been drying up these past year and a half. Well, yeah, because they burned it to the ground. Just unbelievable. I mean, to see the fires from satellite, oh dear God. And so yeah, January was the hottest year, or the hottest month on record for the whole Earth. The Earth is just getting too hot. And taking away vegetation takes away oxygen from the air, and humans need nitrous oxide. Nitrogen oxide to breathe, and thus we put out carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is with the photosynthesis process. And when you have vegetation, it cools down the environment. You know, I've experienced that firsthand here in Utah. I was out driving the freeways with my dad. It was kind of warm that day, but then we got on an off-ramp that had vegetation in that circular off-ramp. And as we hit the off-ramp and was circling around, I noticed instantly a temperature change because of that. And those who go into the mountains to cabins and stuff, yeah, there's a big difference between the urban cement temperatures versus the forested cabin temperatures. Massive difference, not just because of elevation wise, but also because of the vegetation. We need vegetation to keep the temperature controlled. And there's other examples that I can go into with the Dust Bowl of America. I think it was ginseng that saved us, that restored the soils. But dear God. And so, yeah, we know how to live on Earth to not kill us off. But you're seeing mankind in control wanting to kill us off. Here in Utah, for example, I mean, dear God, they want us dead. They don't want to do what's necessary to turn this into a garden paradise. They all know about the prophecy of Isaiah. And yet, nope. But I told you that that's because they want to purge the weak from among us. Those who are not rich and paying a full tithe, you got to go. Section 119. So, dear God. And so that's part of their exodus that they've been trying to do in preparation for their 119 exodus, to purge Utah of all the apostates. So, how should the prophet be selected now correctly? It's too late. They didn't do it correctly. So now it defaults to Joseph Smith's prophecy and the Jewish prophecy of me. I'm him. That's what is being told to Joseph, is that there is the man like Moses from section 107 verses 91 and 92. He has the keys, he has the gifts. I do, talking in third person. And so that Mormons would be able to judge him and know that it's him. But the church has brainwashed Mormons to the point where you can even leave the church and you still aren't looking for him. And so that's it. What Joseph Smith was talking about in verse 22 of that same section was to be after he died, and nobody did it. And Joseph knew that. He knew that he would have to die as the Messiah ben Joseph, and that his religion would be destroyed and taken over by the enemy. And so that's why Sidney Rigdon suggested that he be the overseer rather than the prophet. It's because he understood, because he was there from the beginning. And then his religion changed it into something else. Changed the name of the church to add Jesus. Nonetheless. And so, yeah, it's verse 40 in the Joseph Smith history of the second vision, where I appear to Joseph Smith. It's all literal history, true. Has nothing to do with prophecy. Of my coming and how you would know it was me. Nope, not at all. Oh, dear God, we're all dead. And so, after saying that the Jewish Christ is our Christ, he says the day had not yet come when they, Mormons, who would not hear their Christ, the Mormon man like Moses, the Jewish Christ, should be cut off, precisely as it stands in our New Testament, in Acts chapter 3, 22nd, 23rd verses, 23, precisely as it stands from among the people. This is it. Mormons are supposed to be looking for me. Mormons are supposed to judge me. Again, the video I did before on translation. Mormons should now know I'm him. Should be a simple test. Nelson doesn't do it, false. I do it, true. They need to listen to my voice. That's it, that's all. They knew I was going to do videos. And if they don't listen, they perish. They that come shall burn you. And so yes, the law of Purim is going to get Nelson. But that's what they want. They just don't want the utter destruction part. They want to be able to restore their kingdom with Lucifer of the inverted pentagram on the keystone of the doors of the Salt Lake Temple. Which is just so sad that Mormons aren't making that connection. It's blatantly obvious this is the great and abominable church. And yet, Mormons are so brainwashed that they become the enemy to defend this Luciferian church. Even when faced with their true Christ who's here to save them if they would but believe. And they don't. So when you establish Zion, if I establish Zion, and faithful followers of yours have the situation of your passing away, etc. What do you mean I'm passing away? Well, they have to get the Melchizedek priesthood again so they can vote. No. Mosiah 29. King Mosiah does away with the kingship. Moses, Yah. That's a Hebrew creation. The man like Moses and Yah. Ishmael, because you were gone during these videos. Ishmael is Hebrew for name of Yah, or Yah's name. Name of Yah is sun god, Emmanuel. And so that's why Moses, the man like Moses, Deuteronomy 18, verse 15, from Joseph Smith, verse 40, he's our Christ, and Yah, the Hebrew God. Same guy. They're all the same guy. Even Jesus, all the same guy. And so everybody, Joseph is right with the patriarchal priesthood. Parents will be the leaders of their family. That's it. There's no administration structure. There's no big brother. You get to live your life, your way, with your family. You just have to follow the law of giving agency, life, liberty, property to others, and they in return will give it to you. And so you can't commit crimes to take away life, liberty, and property. If you do that, you're gone. You're out. All you have to do is love. Real simple. And so, to help that, there will be no monetary system of economy. Everybody gets what they need from the bishop's storehouses, depending on how many people we eventually get. And over time, the families are going to grow and expand, and thus need for bishop storehouses to expand. And so people will be supplying items to the bishop storehouses so that they get what they need and want, and others likewise get what they need and want, and you yourself in return because of what they give to the storehouse. No monetary system of economy. You are giving other people life, liberty, and property with the storehouse so that you get life, liberty, and property for what you need to live and what you want to contribute to the storehouse. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. And those, children, they don't need to contribute. They're children. They need to learn what to do in life, and what they choose to do, then they can choose how to help build Zion. Those who are disabled, you're disabled. You have an exemption clause from giving. You get what you need and want if you are an exception to giving to the storehouses. And so women who are pregnant and raising children, also an exemption. But women have so many talents and abilities that they can, be 9 months pregnant and still run a marathon. I don't know if I would want to do that, but I'm not a woman to know. But that's the whole thing. Elderly, for example, you're retired. Enjoy your life. But if they want to continue to contribute, great. You're not being forced to. It's not like Section 119. There is no monetary system of economy. And that should eliminate the majority of human bad behaviors. Greed, lust, envy, jealousy, covetousness, etc. So that people can live the life that they want and give it to others, and they give it in return to you. That's the hope. And so there is no need for a monarchy over all of you to whip you into shape, to whip it good. Da-da-da-da-da. Should that be the theme song? Or let's whip it, baby. Either one. And so, yeah, by coming to Zion, you are in the temple. The temple is the city of Zion, the city of New Jerusalem. And so you are Melchizedek's, kings and queens, high priests and high priestesses, to rule over your family. And you should do it in righteousness, otherwise you're out. Give agency. Raise your kids to learn about agency and to give them agency by experiences of everything that there is to know in life, so that the child can then have options of what they like and help them pursue what they like until they run out of that fad, go to the next fad, so that eventually when they grow up, they'll know what they like and want to do with their life. And they are given every opportunity to be that. And that's what's the problem in our nation, is that for so long, blacks have been suppressed and oppressed and depressed and repressed and whatever pressed, to not be educated equally, to not have the parents receive the funding equal with their white equivalents in America. And so you got black children who are not given the same education in the public school system, and their parents are poor and struggling and may not even be a full parent unity, as the mother may be a victim of rape and other financial and cultural problems. You know, the gangs are high in black ghetto neighborhoods and apartment areas, and so deaths of family members and fathers and other stuff, and gangs getting the teenagers involved, and all of that needs to go in order for blacks to be given an equal opportunity with whites, as the 14th Amendment, Section 1, gave them. It's just not being followed by the law and by the justice system to punish those who are violating rights of blacks. And so as a result, the children aren't getting qualified to go to higher education so that they can learn skills and education to get a job that will pay more money to pull them out of the perpetual poverty of slavery that America is still struggling to get itself out of. And so Trump, by doing away with DEI, which is a threat to the Equal Rights Amendment and the equal opportunity employment that have been passed in America. And so, yeah, lots of the problems are going to come back with full vengeance now. And so in Zion, everybody has equal opportunity to any knowledge on a subject matter to learn what they want to learn at the pace that they are able to learn it, and to be able to receive anything that they need and want to contribute back to the storehouses of Zion. Whatever they want to do and be, they get to do and be, as long as it provides life, liberty, and property for others, and others give it to you. It's a simple economy, but evil people like to screw it up. So no evil people allowed in Zion. There is a one-strike law in Zion. If you get a strike, you're out. There is no 3 strikes. There is no, oh, my bad, sorry, you have to forgive me now. No, get out. real simple thing, and all you got to do is love. But it's going to be tough in the beginning to get everybody to understand this. I am well aware of the insecurities of humans in such a condition. If destruction decimates Utah and Mormons, what are they going to do? Their human behaviors are going to emerge out of the insecurity that they now are confronted with. And so you're going to see the true side of Mormons when that scenario hits, if that scenario hits. And so likewise in Zion, there are people who won't hear this video about the economy and think that they know how an economy should work in Zion, and then they're going to be shocked that there is no economy in Zion. But they're mentally processing their current life that they're living now and not able to comprehend that there is no economy anymore. You don't need to worry about it. But I can see Mormons in the future who get to Zion and say, so how do we pay for all of this? Stop it! Stop it! So, yeah, my way was so perfect. It's just so sad it's not going to happen. So, yeah, if Zion happens, if there's a woman who would settle for me, even though I may be the last man on earth, and we're able to have children, obviously I would be raising my children to be overseers of Zion perpetually, generation after generation. But it's not going to be a kingship, monarchy, telling people what to do and how to do it. It's just making sure that the system is running smoothly. That's it. There shouldn't be people complaining. You know, if they didn't get their order from the storehouse, well, you just let the storehouse know you didn't get your order and they get you your order. It's that simple. You don't need to do returns. I ordered my burger without onions and there's onions. You know, okay, here's a burger without onions. Real simple, not complicated, because there's no monetary system of economy. And so, no, there won't be any hoarding because of insecurity. There's no need for insecurity anymore. And so people will get what they need and want. And so perishable foods, they only get enough until they would normally perish, and then they get to order more. Some people are knowledgeable on how to can and do preserves and stuff. And so great, they can order and make them themselves. And since they know how to do that, we can give them automated technology of robotics so that they can mass produce it, so that they can provide it for others through the storehouse. The system will work perfectly. It's just getting Mormons to understand that they're in the great and abominable church and need to be saved. So, yeah, I don't have hope. Okay? So nobody's going to succeed me. It's just going to be your family. Okay, which way we got to go here? The commentary on Nephi 7:15 was on point. Haha. words that couldn't be written videos, and some would be sealed, copyright banned, or shadowed, and also my journal vlogs and videos that never did make it. This is awesome. And so yeah, I've got a whole bunch of stuff, projects for Zion. There's just an overwhelming amount of work to be done. All by myself. You keep saying that you run the tests, yeah, and you can, of course, only run them after the fact. After the fact of what? You run tests to establish facts. Scientific process. You have premises that lead to a conclusion. The premises must be logically sound Socratic methodology statements that would naturally lead to a conclusion. I don't know if you've seen a TV show with a forensic investigator that says they have to follow the evidence where it leads. They can't force it to conclude and all that stuff, but that's what they're talking about. And so once you develop a theory, it has to be tested. If it can't be tested, you don't have a theory. You've got to go back to your premises and figure out what went wrong. It has to be tested. Mormons and Christians don't understand this. They don't want to understand it. And so the biggest problem with Mormon apologists is trying to explain how the Book of Mormon can't be tested. And so Mormon apologists come up with without a connection, thus a red herring, a non sequitur argument to try to claim that they've got proof that the Book of Mormon is true. For example, one of them is that there have been recently, within the past year or so, metal plates found in Saudi Arabia with writing on them. And so Mormon apologists are hearing about this and they're going, the Book of Mormon is true. No, there's not a connection with the plates in Saudi Arabia with the Book of Mormon. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why, but they are purposely ignoring that evidence and even facts in their premises that were Jewish, that Joseph Smith Sr. was York Rites Freemasonry with the Knights Templar, and thus Egyptian gold plates. It's not to be taken literally. They are visionary accounts. They are not literal history accounts. And so Mormon apologists refuse to accept the truth so that they can prove in their spiritual witness feelings that the Book of Mormon is true when we have no plates to test. And you got John Welsh, who's the one who started Mormon apologetics, by claiming that he found Hebrew chiasmus and therefore the Book of Mormon is true. And what they are still living in denial of is that what he had found of Hebrew chiasmus was plagiarism from the late war. All these Mormon apologists get the church in deeper trouble because they don't follow truth. So, yeah, that's how it's done. And so if you've watched the latest Fast X, when they were out in space, the two guys, the one guy is explaining this process. You run 3 tests to get a confirmation, and you establish a fact. And when you can repeat the test consistently, like seed getting planted and producing fruit, you've now established an eternal law that can be tested. Seed, you plant it, produces the fruit, contains more seed. You plant it, produces more fruit, has more seed, plant it, etc. Over and over again repeatedly. It's an eternal law. It's the law of vegetation. That's what they use in the Bible and the Book of Mormon and by Joseph Smith to learn truth. We will liken the word unto a seed. This is the scientific process of producing facts and establishing laws of truth. And so there shouldn't be any concern with the Big Bang Theory. So show me the test results. There are none. They have never run the test. You can't give me an excuse of, well, it will destroy the fabric of time. You need to be able to provide a test, and they won't. They can't. It's a fraud. There is no Big Bang. And so, like a Mormon apologist, they claim that certain things would be the natural result. So when they see the way things are, they don't realize that there are other explanations for it. And then you realize that it was a Catholic who created the Big Bang Theory. Dumbass, trying to prove creatio ex nihilo is true. You gotta run the test. So that whole Big Bang was a joke. Same with Darwin. Darwin claims that it's kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. That we came from chimpanzees and lizards and rabbits and lions and tigers and bears, amoebas. Oh my. Where's the test? There isn't any. Just because you saw that fruit flies departed to another area in the United States don't want to have sex with the previous fruit flies does not prove evolution. There's other causations. Dear God. And so no, you need that missing link. You have to run the test. Without the test, you've got no theory. You've got a fraud. Like I said, the vegetation theory is law. And so there's no need to create something to go against the law of vegetation. That's the evolutionary theory, the theory of evolution. It's saying the law of vegetation is wrong. Because eventually, over time, an apple will turn into a squash. Mutations, natural selection. Run the test. Oh, it takes millions of years. Get out of here. And so, no, we did not come from chimps. My DNA does not have me come from chimps. God. Seed produces only after its kind. There's no mutant X for the X-Men or heroes. You know, it's great entertainment, but it needs to remain fiction. And yet you get too many people who see these fiction stories and then quote them as if they're scientific proofs. That's why it's sci-fi. Don't leave out the fi. But yes, 20,000, 30,000, 10,000, whatever number leagues under the sea. Yeah, if mankind can scientifically make a submarine, great. Or a flip phone from Star Trek, great. But when you start going against known laws, you've crossed the line. And so, yeah, saying that people can feel whatever sex they want to be was crossing a line in new generations. And so AI, likewise, we got conned on that one. We all heard from sci-fi about all what AI can do, hypothetically, because there is no test. And so now that AI is out, it's not AI. It's a malware virus. It is not intelligent. It can't tell the truth. It only knows what it's programmed. And so it's not an intelligence. It is a programmed malware virus. And it's doing national security harm, taking away agency. You can judge it by its fruit. So yeah, that's where they are manipulating you. When they clone sheep, they didn't clone sheep. They made a twin. That's it. There were no clones from Star Wars. Even Star Wars knows better, because the clones are not clones. They're all brothers. They're all twins, identical twins. And so what the hell are they doing DEI Star Wars for? I think there's an explanation for it, that people are getting recruited into the stormtrooper army so that it's not clones anymore, but it was funny to bring it up. So yeah, it's a little different than Battlestar Galactica, where you have the originals. Starbuck is a male in the original, and so the reboot, Starbuck is now a female. And so I'm glad they didn't try to explain it, that Starbuck, the man, was her father, and now she's Starbuck, the daughter. But Caprica was interesting. But anyway. Just some reboots, you need to stick to the tradition. Others, we're glad you made the change. Like Magnum PI, Higgy Baby being an actual Higgy Baby. Awesome! Excellent change. But yeah, completely different show by doing that. Even though it's the same show, just rebooted. Let's see. Can we run tests for future? Well, that's what tests are. So I think you're getting confused as to what kinds of tests to run. There's tests to run on the word precepts to find out if the word is true or not. And there are other tests for scientific experimentations to invent things, discover things, decipher things. And that's a little bit different. And then there's the natural existence that has to run on that same thing. And that's where, sex ed. Men have seed, women have the soil, egg, to plant the seed in. It's the same process, and we learn it naturally, but you have the church who says, no, it's a sin. You need to go to your bishop to confess that you're having these feelings. You need to go in graphic extreme detail so that the bishop can then rape you and then be on the local news the other day. And so, yeah, this is where the enemy plants tares among the wheat to cause confusion. And so, like I said, purge yourself of everything the church ever taught you. It should be easy to do. And so, yeah, when you're running a test, you have a theory. And for our human natures, for sex with a woman, it's not really a theory that you work with. Well, hold on, let's figure out how we're going to produce a baby. If we start with the premise that, let's see, what should be our first premise? No, you don't do that. You get together, hey, a baby resulted. What do you know? How did that happen? You're running the test automatically by not going through the sex ed. That's why it's important to teach kids before they hit puberty about sex ed, so that they can run the right tests. Not be told that wearing a swimsuit at the beach will get a girl pregnant. I've had the Mormon women tell me that that's what their moms told them. So sad. So sad. Let's see, our theories just want to be, no, they're not want to be prophecies. Prophecies are theories. It's the same thing. All seer, revelator, translator, prophet, they're all science. It's a scientific process for each one of them. Seer is one who can prophesy of the future, make predictions for the future, who is an archaeologist, anthropologist of the past, who is an anthropologist of the current, using science, not psychology, not opinions and beliefs. And a revelator is one who uses astronomy with prophecies, predictions of the future, to know of the dates of when they're going to happen, and writing scripture stories based on the anthropomorphizing designations of constellations. And translation, linguistics, science. We all know that one. All of it is science. That's why I was able to become who I am, because it's just science. I don't get a mantle from God, and now all of a sudden I can do it. Line upon line, precept upon precept. And so in Zion, everybody can be taught to become themselves prophets, seers, revelators, and translators, if that's what they want to pursue. Whatever you want to become, you will be given that opportunity to become. There will be an educational system set up for the manner in which kids want to learn. Not just one forced structure where you're going to have kids that aren't going to be able to learn that way. Oh my God. This public school system is so screwed up. Anyway. And so Nelson, no, there's not prophesying. Nelson is evil. Theirs is the plot. They premeditatively said, we're going to coup America. The Danites told Thomas B. Marsh this. were going to coup America in the future. They had a plan. They tested that plan in 1838. They tested that plan over time, just as the other branch-offs of that Illuminati group. It is not a prophecy. That is a premeditated taking away of agency. And so Nelson failing is like you drive to a bank to rob it, you go into the bank, and oops, you forgot the gun, Nelson. Failure. Which, what is that? It's got two men and a lady. Is it Busey? Gary Busey? Is he the one guy who's out of prison, wants to reform his life, but he goes to the bank to cash his prison check, and another guy is there robbing it, and he botches it. And it's all to get his daughter some health care. And comedy ensues. What is the name of that movie? What is the name? I gotta find out. I'm being left alone, I see. Interesting. I was not on the first video this morning. Or was it the second video also? It was the second video at least. I might have gotten away with the first video. Hello, Google. Anytime now. So we'll type in Gary Busey and see what movies he's been in, see if I can find it. It's a daddy-daughter movie, so I like it. That's why I like Castle, because it's a daddy-daughter show. You probably think it's a romantic show about Caitlin Beckett and Castle. No, it's a daddy-daughter show. And so yes, it was sad seeing the two-part episode of Alexei getting kidnapped. It was very hard for me. Even though I've seen it several times already. Gary Busey. Come on. It's just going to get worse as they expand AI. It's just going to get worse. Just going to get worse. Filmography. There we go. Hero. DC Cab. Eye of the Tiger, Lethal Weapon, Predator, Point Break, Under Siege, Firm, Rookie of the Year, Dread Zone, Black Sheep, Lost Highway. Oh, it's not, he's not in there. Oh no! No! It's a different guy. Who's the guy then? Movie where a father robs a bank to save his daughter. Three Fugitives. There it is. Nick Nolte. Yep. Nick Nolte, not Gary Busey. Alright. We'll see if we can figure out a way to use this in the Shoot, doesn't want to talk. Then they dress her up as a boy. To sneak her into Canada under Trump. Alrighty. You keep saying that you duplicated that comment. Okay. Good. So we can stop at 5 hours rather than 10. On the same video. Okay. Okay, so forget about the other 7.8 billion people. What about the Mormons that only speak Portuguese? No! No! Where is Lehi? At the headquarters of the religion. So is it Portugal? No! Is it Brazil? No! China? No! It's only at the headquarters. Stick with what the story tells you. Utah. That's it. That's all. Unless the character leaves the country. Jesus, for example, goes out of Judea. Goes up north. The woman at the well. And so then that is a scenario of a prophecy of when I would not be in Utah. And up north, like Canada. Prophecy fulfilled. Even Idaho. Own private Idaho. Okay? Stick to the story. If it doesn't talk about it, don't add it. And so only those who watch my video, no, that's just for verse 40 that I read to you. If they watch my videos, if they believe, if they listen, and they hearken, and they prepare for what's coming, that's why I'm doing Trump Ice 2025 now, to keep you updated daily on whatever Trump is doing, so that you can be prepared and be aware. So even though you're wherever you are now, you too can be prepared, because right now Trump will not allow you in America to come to Zion if it happens. And so that's another issue. How do I get Mormons around the world who want to come to Zion under Trump? Because right now it ain't going to happen. And so, yeah, some things have to happen for their fall, not the fall that they are self-fulfilling so that they get their kingdom. For Nelson and Trump, they are going to fall. They have to fall. They have to transfer it so that I then can get Mormons to Zion while the rest of the world is at war. And so the more complicated, against my perfect plan, the tougher it's going to be. Okay. Yeah, 3 of us. That's all who's going to be saved. And Idaho chick, it depends. She's in a mixed religious relationship. Marriage. And so, yeah, that's going to be a tough situation. Just like the deportation czar says, if you've got an illegal in your family, you need to make a choice. Because if you're going to stick with your family member, then you got to go too. And so likewise for Mormons who believe me but are in a marriage relationship where they don't believe me. And so they're going to have to make a choice. Do you stay with your spouse or do you go to Zion? That's a situation that nobody should have to be in. But that's going to be what's going to happen for many people. And so, you know, what do you do with the kids if one doesn't want to go and the other wants to go? It's just going to be heart-wrenching. Because we can't have people who commit crimes be given sanctuary in Zion. If there's legal issues that need to be dealt with, they need to be dealt with before you come to Zion. We aren't going to be harboring fugitives from the law. We aren't going to be separating families. The families have to make the decision. And it's going to be heart-wrenching for them. And the scriptures talk about it. You know, they got an unbelieving spouse. What do you do? Because we can't have people who don't want to be in Zion. They don't want to be there. They're only going to want to ruin it for everybody. And so they're not going to be allowed. So yeah, that's going to be a very tough situation for many Mormons. What do? And so that's why I would really like to know what the enemy has planned so that I can prepare for the scenario. You have tried to spread my knowledge to other Portuguese, Spanish, and even Japanese speakers. My goodness, you're fluent in all languages. What the hell? And so, yeah, you'll be a great addition to Zion with the vast knowledge that you have about your message, but it feels so unreal despite all the undeniable evidence you have backing you up. Yeah, it's because you haven't gotten the fruit yet. You know, obviously you see that the church isn't true. Obviously you know I'm the guy, but there is no Zion. Idaho chick is having that same problem. Back in January, she told me that she's fed up. She quits. There is no Zion, and so she doesn't want to keep having it extended and extended and extended with no Zion. And I just, dear God, I've been this way the whole time. I knew we were in the latter days from the beginning, from before the beginning. And here we are into overtime because Nelson failed. I mean, yeah, it could be the death by 1,000 cuts thing. He does know Chinese. But yeah, this is another issue, is that the majority of my viewers are looky-loos, couch potatoes, fence sitters. They watch. It's unclear how much they watch. It's not the whole videos. But they don't put a thumbs down either. They don't put a thumbs up either. They just watch. And maybe it's just to see what new picture I come out with. Watch the video clips at the beginning. And then, oh, it's him. Okay, I'm out. But still, there are just too many Mormons who are not making the choice to choose which side they're going to be on, which church they're going to be with. And by not choosing, they're staying with the great and abominable church. You have to actively choose me and leave. Stop wearing the underwear. Stop paying the money to the church. Stop going to Sunday school. If you have questions, do what Trial of Faith does. But you are independent agents to choose. And you're letting the church choose for you. by not doing anything. And that's setting you up for failure. The church is going to kick you out or put you in bondage in their Zion if they win. Mormons don't understand this. So, and then the final question, which you duplicated. All right. Well, this, I think it is. No, it's not. We have one more. At 51 minutes into the video, so here you're prophesying that in the next few years, there should be an earthquake and fire in the Middle East. No. Joseph Smith adds to Malachi, they that come shall burn them. The enemy is going to pretend to be Jesus and commit the day that shall burn as an oven. The scriptures talk about earthquakes, the earthquake, but you need to understand they are using Mormon Christian interpretation rather than Jewish interpretation, because it was Jewish authors writing these things, not Christians. Christians screwed up the interpretation of the scriptures. And so the enemy, knowing this, are using that against Christians. Albert Pike, to destroy Christianity. The church, to destroy Mormonism of Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon by changing the interpretation to Christian. Because as you see, using Jewish interpretation, it's all accurate, precisely accurate. And the enemy never believed that. They knew the astronomy dates, and so that was used to coordinate their coup, their plot. And so to trick Christians, and thus to trick Mormons, they've got to push the interpretation narrative as true to the extreme, so that they now see Trump as King Cyrus was to the Jews. They see him as Jesus, doing the will of Jesus by occupying Gaza to then destroy the Islamic mosque so the Jews can then rebuild the temple. This is all Christian interpretation. Constantine is the causation of that interpretation. And so the Jews are okay with that. They want to build their temple too. And so they, in return, likewise, wrongly see Trump as King Cyrus, their Christ. He's not. He doesn't pass the tests. You gotta pass the test to be the guy. But the Jews are taking him, whatever they can get. And so, this is why Christians believe that Trump is Jesus, the vicar on earth at the time, to do the will of Jesus, to have the kingdom come for the millennium. And likewise, the church is using Trump for their kingdom. Whereas Mormons, at that lower level of pyramid knowledge, are waiting for Jesus. They don't see how Trump is what Nelson had been talking about this whole time in the coming days. And that's where they're going to destroy the faith bubbles of Mormons, more especially than Christians. Christians have homuzion Jesus. And so all Trump has to do is fail to establish the kingdoms. And Christianity is destroyed. Whereas for the Mormon Church, they just have to get the situation set up where no physical, tangible Jesus, body of flesh and bones, shows up. And Mormons are all destroyed. Their faith bubbles bursted. So, what's the point of doing these videos? Nobody appreciates them. I quit. And so, a lot of the stuff of prophecy are interpreted as Christian. That's what I was referring to there, is that the church believes this. The church believes in the four comings of Jesus. Adam-on-Diamond, suddenly to his temple, Mount of Olives, and Zion Temple, New Jerusalem Temple, where his palace is, which Mormons believe is in Missouri, rather than 19 July 1840, which is not in Missouri. Joseph Smith Papers. That's why my #1 video said Missouri. Let's see, because of the U.S. president. No, so I explained that. Okay, it all adds up, especially because even yesterday Trump said he will revitalize the army recruiting in the U.S. to go to Gaza and help Israel against the terrorists. He retracted that, but that's what he does. You got to understand, he knows this, that if he sends in the commercial companies, the contractors to go and make the Riviera Gaza, as he's wanting to do, Islamists are not going to allow them. They are going to resist and fight them, just like they fought the victims of October 7th, Israelis. And so Trump knows this, and so thus his first thing was to do a military occupation. This is what he does in The Art of War. He explains all this. And so he knows that if he sends unarmed people into Gaza to build the Riviera, that Islam will fight to get rid of them, to keep their land, which is not their land. But nonetheless, they think so. And so then Trump would then be justified in sending in the military to occupy it, to protect the contractors and the builders of the Riviera. He's already got it all planned out. It's the same with the border. MAGA complained that there were terrorists coming across the border with no evidence. And then you get isolated incidences across the nation that claim that see, they got through the border. Biden is not protecting the border. And it was Congress's job. So he creates the problem and then says he's the solution. And it's take away your agency as the solution. This is exactly what he's going to do to Gaza. So. And then, because interpreting the scriptures, people believe that there would be a war in Israel for Armageddon 2, and that thus it would be Islam that would be nuked. So that's why Christians are all excited and happy that the Jews will get their temple and Christians will get their kingdom nation of the United States. All right, I didn't miss you because I was in vacation, haha. I have been studying and learning about other countries, languages, religions, etc. And I always come back to you because of your receipts and evidence. So you know I'm true, and yet you still go after others. You're cheating on me? So it pissed me off about Beckett. She has a crush on Castle, and yet she doesn't see that Castle is there with her because he likes her, but because she is not communicating, he then has to pursue other women. And over time, she's then demonstrating that she is going after other men. And so I guess she doesn't love me. And so, yeah, when Lainey says that she needs to tell him, she was too late, as he shows up to work in his Ferrari or convertible with the latest blonde, because he's on the rebound, because he thinks that Beckett doesn't love him because she told the guy she was interrogating that she remembered everything that happened when she was shot, including Castle saying, "I love you, Kate, don't die on me." And so then she goes and tells him when she comes back to work, "I have amnesia." And so he trusts her. And then he finds out she lied to him. And so what's he supposed to do? Obviously, she doesn't love him, and so he has to go on his own way. And then Caitlin doesn't understand. And so, yeah, once you know the truth and the source of truth, why would you go find other sources to just find out that they are lies anyway? Have you not read your scriptures? I am the source of all truth. Do I need to go over them with you? Because I'm going over the way for you to learn truth. Nobody else is. I'm running tests for diets, beliefs, evidence, etc. Diets, oh my God. I'm not on vacation. I need to know for myself and not because of feelings. I need them proof. Wait, they all follow the Illuminati pattern to overthrow? Yes, Trump is doing the Illuminati pattern. Everybody, Nelson, doing the Illuminati pattern. That's where they came from. That's why they do it. It's something that they can just mimic and copy. You know, monkey see, monkey do. There is no mutant gene that's going to create a human. They have no intelligence. That's why it's sad that they think that they're the illuminated ones, when all they are as dark as Constantine turned the world into with the first creed of Christianity. They're just full of wrath and hate, thinking that they need to rule the world and control other people's agency and punish people for their belief in the nonsense of Christianity, rather than using the word and science to educate people away from Christianity, which was, in the beginning of the Enlightenment period, working great. You are getting people who are coming to the knowledge that the Catholic Church is false. And so the Protestant Reformation happened because the Enlightenment didn't get spread as well as it needed to. And so that then ended up causing more problems, because you get more shatterings of the prophecy of Daniel with the feet of iron mingled with clay that get shattered. That was Christianity. Prophecy fulfilled. Those Jews, they know everything. And so yes, the Illuminati is true, even though they say it's not. But that's how they do it. The original one, founded by Johann Adam Weishaupt, is gone. But that's not the intention. They infiltrate an organization. They rise up in number, rise up in rank, take over leadership, destroy it, and then start all over. And so they then go from group to group doing that same thing over the past couple 250 years. This is what they were doing in America. This is what Brigham Young did. This is what Trump is doing. It all leads up to it. And so each of these branch-offs from Johann Adam Weishaupt are still the same group. But this is where the law of Purim is going to hurt the church. Because the church is the exact same as neo-Nazis, Confederates, white supremacists, evangelicals, and other groups, MAGA. They're all from the same core, the Illuminati. But they don't always acknowledge that they're of the same group. Evangelicals, the inverted pentagram on the flag of the National Prayer Breakfast, with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So I make that meme on purpose to help you understand that Christians, evangelical Christians, and Mormons have the same symbol of Jesus, but they don't acknowledge being the same religion. Likewise with white supremacist Christian nationalists. They're the same as the church, but they don't recognize each other as being the same. So, yeah, that's why you had the white supremacists marching in Utah against the Venezuelan gang. And so many people who are never-mos, who come to a video of mine where I'm talking about the church, they agree that the church is evil, but they don't make the connection that the church is the same as them, as a white supremacist Christian nationalist. Just like expos, they don't get it. You left the church, but you didn't leave the church. You still have the baggage of the false indoctrination that they implanted in you. And so you believe Joseph Smith was to blame. You have no clue that the church is covering up that it was Brigham the whole time who framed and blamed Joseph. So, Illuminati confirmed. And that should be it. Looks like there's another guy, John Ferradino, who commented on my executive order bans the church. He says, DNC 2940, you're right. Why is Eve missing? Because Eve didn't fall. I explained that in the video. Egyptian. The Egyptian documents, that's where it comes from. And so the Bible is mistranslated. Joseph Smith is right. That's interesting. It was Eve that was tempted by the devil, not Adam. No. That's the Christian botch up job. What are you talking about? The inverted pentagrams at the picture. The picture meme. I specifically highlighted one of them. It's an inverted pentagram. What flag? The thumbnail picture. Upside down flags in Monrovia Public Library. Not aware of that, but okay. And that should be it. Yeah, that's it. Okay.